Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I have a very special guest this morning. My fellow reparationist, y'all, is in the house. Mr. Marcel Dixon. Good morning.
Good morning, Tamara. I don't think people realize how close you and I are. I'm not even talking about from political people. I'm talking about culturally speaking. Effingham County, Georgia, where you're from, and Jasper County, South Carolina, where I'm from, are literally like 20 minutes from each other. I don't think people realize that we are like literally we're freedmen, but we're Gullah Geechee and literally like in each other's backyard. So for y'all who didn't know, the secret's out. We've been planning this all along.
And look, you was thinking like I was thinking a red shirt this morning. We
Exactly.
the same energy, I'm telling you.
People don't know that we are like literally, I can reach out my front door and touch Tamara's hometown. She can reach out her front door and touch my hometown where I still live, like Ridgeland, Effingham County, right there. So yeah.
Good morning, Mr. Dixon.
Good morning.
Good morning. They've been waiting on
Hey,
you,
everyone.
brother. They've been waiting on you to say you got Clyburn spooked.
Well, you know what? I want to change that a little. We have them spooked because without the people supporting me, I would have just been one of many good people who want what's right for our people on the internet. Because there are many of us who are I will speak for me, smarter than I, who have way more to offer than I. I just happen to thankfully get people's support and attention, and it's the people. And I'm not saying that. I know that sounds cliche, but I know you agree with this, man. It really is the people that have propelled me and keep me going and that have amplified my voice. And I learned from what people have shared. So we have Clyburn spooked. And you know what? He ain't seen nothing yet. He ain't seen nothing yet.
Oh, well, let's rewind and go back. So for those of you who may not know, Mr. Gregg Marcel Dixon is running against the Representative Jim Clyburn out of the 6th District in South Carolina. That district is how many counties?
Let me see. So we have Colleton, we have Jasper, we have Allendale, we have Hampton. I know you know all these places. We have Williamsburg, we have parts of Dorchester, parts of Berkeley, parts of Charleston, parts of Beaufort, Clarendon, Sumter, Richland, Orangeburg. So that's like 12 counties. And the district is very gerrymandered, but I'm not going to complain because I'm a little selfish. They kind of carved out all the black people in the central, south, southern, and eastern parts of South Carolina, which is bad because we could technically have a lot more Democratic, hopefully on coal representatives, because that's what I care about the most. But I kind of want all the black people. So I'm gerrymandering. It's not politically expedient, but I'm kind of happy I got all the black people under me. At least a good bit of them. Nancy Mace has some too, but I have like a good large portion of the black South Carolina population, the Gullah Geechee people, which I'm very happy about to be representing my people in my home county, Jasper County. When the Republicans were redistricting, I was worried they were going to probably take my county out of the 6th district. I was still going to run against Clyburn anyway, but I was like, I won't be representing my district. And that was really depressing me. But when they redistricted, they left it pretty much the same. I'm not going to lie, I was happy to have my home county, Jasper County. I love where I'm from. I love the people here. Well, most of them. And I'm glad to represent it.
Yeah. We're in some exciting times. As reparationists, we are in some exciting times. It is our time. It really is. It really is.
I don't know if you saw on Twitter, I was just browsing, and I'm for anyone who's for reparations, because that's what his personal feels inside. And I saw the United Sons and Daughters of Freedmen had gotten, for what I read in Athens, Georgia, a Freedmen Day declared as a municipal holiday. For what I'm reading, I glanced at it. So that's big news like that freedman name, our identity as Black Americans who are descendants of those who were enslaved by the American government. This is really our time. Like, this is the resurgence. And I just know our ancestors and our parents, like my great-grandparents who all recently died, I just know they will be very proud of us. They will be very, very proud of us. And that just makes me feel proud. I just know they would be.
Well, back up and tell everybody who you are. You're a teacher, you're an activist. So you and I have come through the activism of the reparations movement. But talk about that some.
So yes, I'm Gregg Marcel Dixon. I'm a teacher, third of 4 of my parents' children. I'm Savannah, Georgia born, but because we have no hospitals in Jasper County, or we do have one now, but it's in another town. But during that time, we had none. Most people went over to Savannah, as we still do, to take care of our needs or when we need more options. So Savannah, Georgia, born, Ridgeland, South Carolina, was right over the bridge, raised. Gullah Geechee on my mother's side and father's side. I was doing a genealogy tree, and I was saying, let me see if I can get out of South Carolina. And I couldn't get out of South Carolina. Not only could I not get out of South Carolina, I couldn't get out of the Low Country. For those of you who don't know, the Low Country is the coastal plain and the sea islands of South Carolina. And, like Georgia has their Low Country, northern Florida is the Florida Low Country. So my people have been in this area, which had the largest amount of Black people, period. And then the people who were enslaved, even beating Mississippi when Mississippi came on the scene. My parents' family have been here at least since the mid 1700s. I'm sure it's probably going back further than that. And I'm running to be the next congressman for the U.S. House of Representatives in South Carolina District 6. And the incumbent is a person we all know well, and that's James Clyburn. That's the only time I'm going to say his name. And that's all you need to know about me. I want to hear more about y'all and talk about what Tamara wants to talk about.
Well, this is all about you this morning. You're running against a quote unquote powerhouse. You and I both are in some very big races. And you want to talk about that, because Clyburn delivered. He delivered South Carolina for the Biden administration.
Yes,
this is a big deal.
He has been in Congress for the past 30 years. And you know what? I will give him credit. He sure has delivered. He delivered probably the presidency to Joe Biden. And that's exactly even more of a reason why he needs to go, because he delivered the presidency to Joe Biden, a man who in the 1970s worked with segregationists, not to bring more resources to Black American communities, but to keep Black kids out of better funded schools. Now, I'm not of the mindset that we have to go to school with white people to get a good education. No. And that was not what our people were thinking either. They just wanted equitable resources and equitable treatment. So busing was a way to try to get our kids access to resources that we should have had access to and didn't. And he worked with Strom Thurmond, who I know you know, a notorious anti-Black segregationist from South Carolina, who is on record. People talk about the filibuster. This man did the longest filibuster in the history of Congress just to disenfranchise not just Black South Carolinians, but Black Americans throughout the nation. That's who Joe Biden was partnering with. But we also know he wrote the crime bill that locked up a whole generation of Black people, especially Black men, which was still going through the ramification of. And yet Clyburn delivered the presidency to his man. That being said, we've been under him for 30 years, and our district is the 6th poorest in the United States of America. 435 districts, and we are the 6th poorest place to live overall. But for children, the 3rd poorest, and you know my area well, Tamara, the majority of people here look like you and I, are Gullah Geechee people, the people who grew the rice and the indigo, who were skilled in blacksmithing with iron, were the first source of significant wealth for the British colonies and then the United States of America. And now we're some of the poorest people in the country. So the fact that he can deliver, because he delivered for Joe Biden, he delivered for the Catawba Native Americans, wrote a reparations bill for them to get special rights, protections, privileges because of historical wrongs, and they used to enslave us, but he hasn't delivered for the majority of the Black South Carolinians who are the majority in his district. So it's not that he can't do for us, he's chosen not to do. And that's why he has to go.
30 years.
30 years. I'm 37, so he came in office when I was 7 years old.
Just that alone, the 6th poorest district in the nation.
6 poorest. 6 poorest.
So here's what I know, because I'm Gullah Geechee like you. We're we're
Benja. We're Benjas. That's what we call ourselves here. That means native and Gullah, for those of you who don't know. It's Benja.
So I don't think they know. I get the, I get the impression, and when I come home, people really don't know what is going on in Congress. They don't know. They don't know how bad it is because it's normal.
Exactly. We have normalized. I always use the analogy of a flea circus. For those of you who don't know, a flea circus is when it's like you put the hamster in the little wheels and the swings, but they do it with fleas. They'll take like a miniature playground set, put it in a box, and then they have the fleas get on the swing and the fleas sort of perform, right? People don't often ask, how do you get fleas to perform? How do you train a flea? Like, their mind is probably like 1/10 of a fingernail. Okay. So here's what they do, y'all. They get fleas, they put them in a box, right? So fleas try to get out of the box, but they put a lid over the box and the fleas cannot get out. After about an hour, they take the lid off, and guess what the fleas do? They stop trying to get out. They get used to being trapped in a box. Our people are the most intelligent, most beautiful. When I say our people, talk about freedmen, Black Americans, Gullah Geechee too. It's even more specifically, most intelligent, most resilient, innovative people there is. So I'm not trying to insult us. What I'm saying, though, is when you've been through the hell our people have been through, from not just not having lands, having your tongues cut out, having your children ripped out of your belly, and you get just a little bit of improvement by not having those type of atrocities happen to you on a daily basis as what used to happen, we can trick ourselves in thinking that because things are better, that means things are good. But here's the reality, y'all. First of all, things aren't even that much better. We are still subjected to state-sanctioned violence, police brutality being among one of them, Black women dying from giving birth to childcare higher than any other demographic of women, even higher than poor women in countries that have far less wealth than the United States of America, such as the Philippines. Black American women in the wealthiest nation are dying more than women in a quote-unquote poor nation like the Philippines giving birth to a child. So things aren't even better. We have less homes now than we did during Jim Crow. But even if they were better, they definitely aren't good. Not when you have Asians, Native Americans, Hispanics who can be of any race. They can be as Black as Tamara and I. You'll never see those ones on television, but we'll talk about that some other time. Or they can be white. And you have white Americans all to the top. And in terms of wealth, Black Americans to the bottom. And here's the scary part, y'all. Going further to the bottom, some of our people, like Tamara said, because I see it too, may think because we can go to the movies, we may be able to order Uber Eats, we may be able to buy a nice car, think that we have it going on. But when 3 months later, that nice car has been repossessed, or you're getting Uber Eats, but your cousin and family members are struggling to put food on the table after you done ate that Uber Eat meal, we should not be living in a constant situation of how we're going to survive, because we may think that's normal, but other groups aren't. I work with white Republicans who may not make a lot of money, but when they lose their job, they can go live in grandma's house. It may be a little trailer, but they own that piece of land. That piece of land ain't going to be taken from them. They have wealth that serves as a safety net. When we can't make a payment on our mortgage and we lose our land, we're on the streets, which is why Black Americans make up over half of the homeless population in this nation, even though we're between 15 and 20% of the population. So you're right, Tamara. That's why education is so important. And my parents used to tell me that. And my mother definitely does support my political ambitions. She's afraid for my safety. But my father and mother always say, you need to be less fiery Marcel for Congress and be more Mr. Dixon from the classroom and educate people. And I get what they were saying.
I think you got to be a little bit of both. You got to be that fiery Marcel.
That's right.
Along the way, because people, our people have to wake up. And you know what's most disheartening, Marcel, is the pushback that I get, and I'm sure you do. It's from our own people.
Oh, yes.
That is the most disheartening. Like, I expect to fight white people when it comes to reparations. Like, I expect to have to talk you through it, help you to understand. I expect that. But what I don't expect is the pushback that we get from our own people. When Barack gave us hope and change, no tangibles. We're talking about cutting the check, righting a historical wrong, and we get the most pushback.
I want to speak to that about Barack Obama and then the pushback. It breaks. I think about my great grandmother. I had several. My great grandmother that people in my community call Mama Brown or Nana Justine. We just called her Nana. I had many Nanas, but there was one Nana, the main great grandmother. When Barack Obama got elected, she bought this big poster of him. And to be honest with you, I think a lot of us, it's a conversation we need to have about Michelle Obama and many conversations, but she was actually more excited about Michelle Obama. My great grandmother, even though she may not have been on the reparations angle, because it wasn't, the movement had not been resurrected yet or revived like it is now, she was still happier because Michelle Obama, as I think you might know, her people are from here, St. Helena. So she's Gullah Geechee too, but I have Gullah Geechee lineage. And my great grandmother knew that, and she brought this big, glossy collector's edition poster of Michelle Obama and Barack Obama with their two daughters. She just couldn't believe a woman born in 1914, Beaufort, South Carolina. Mississippi had the most lynchings, then it was Georgia, and then after Georgia, I believe South Carolina, Alabama were tied. But South Carolina also has some other points which they can brag about as far as anti-blackness go. We'll talk about that later. But when I saw that, my great-grandmother died in 2015 and never got a cent for all the injustice and harshness she saw in her life. And then for Barack Obama to do an interview just so months ago saying he would have done reparations, but he felt the backlash would not have been politically expedient, he pretty much admitted to us he cowered out. He was willing to do gay marriage. That was not popular with a lot of sectors in the country. He took the backlash for that. He was willing to do the Dreamer Act to protect people who came here illegally as children from being deported. He took the backlash from that. But the backlash for Black Americans, and 90% of people in Black America are freedmen. So that means we put him in office twice. He pretty much said to us, y'all weren't worth me going through the backlash for. And when I see my great-grandmother being put in that ground after being so proud for him to be in office and for him to say that, it's unforgivable. Now, like you said, I expected to fight white people. I had on my boxing gloves. And when I say white people, I'm talking about the anti-Black bigots, not white people in general. The strange thing, I'm in South Carolina and you're in Georgia. Like, Georgia and South Carolina are literally twins. Like, South Carolina, Georgia came from South Carolina. That's how they made the colony of Georgia, because they wanted to have a buffer between Spanish-controlled Florida and the rest of the British colony. So they came with the colony of Georgia for people in England to pay off debts and to kind of have a buffer between the rest of the colonies. So Georgia and South Carolina are culturally very identical. The upstate of South Carolina is like northern Georgia. We all know how that goes. But I work with a lot of white Republicans who are obviously not for reparations. Now, they'll never come out and say, because I think Black people deserve to be at the bottom, y'all don't deserve nothing. They'll never say that. And some of them honestly may not feel that way. But when they disagree, the most they'll say is, I don't agree with that. I think we got to move forward. We need to come up with ways to heal. And they believe in that all a rising tide lift all boats policies, right? But they go on about their business. But when I talk to other Black people, and never South Carolinians, it's mainly these ones online who are like the liberal type Blacks, vote blue no matter who, those are the nastiest, most toxic ones about who might come in contact with. But even sadder, and you've seen this too, we have to fight with other reparationists. We are people, you say it all the time, I don't say it enough. It takes a hell of a lot to run for office. Mentally, emotionally, physically. I'm talking about personal relationship. People saying that I might need you not to come over to my home because people might be targeting you and I just don't want to put everyone else in danger. Those are the type of things I've gone through. I don't know if you have. And to have other reparationists who, if they see something's wrong with our campaign, instead of them offering resources saying, I'm in this with you, how can I do to help you, to see them online and even offline say negative, demeaning things about us and refuse to help where they could probably be an asset, you're right. It doesn't surprise me, but it disgusts me. And every so often when I'm not all fired up, it actually can hurt a little.
It hurts a lot for me. I guess I kind of wear my a little more, wear my emotions on my sleeve. It hurts. You just said as a candidate, I can speak to that. I've run 1 time, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. This is my 5th run. Like I've been running, and I can tell you it takes a toll on every aspect of your life.
Oh, yes.
Every aspect of your life, relationships, your family, your friends. It takes a toll on everything and everybody. And it's hard. So the sacrifice that comes with this, I just wish that people would even just appreciate that, appreciate the fact that you put yourself on the line. You put your life on the line. I've put my life on the line to do this for the betterment of our people. And that's what reparations is. So, you talk about, it's hard, Marcel. So I thank you for speaking to it, because it really is hard.
Trust me, my mother cries, and I'm not kidding, people. Boo-hoo cries every single day, praying I will drop out. It's for some religious reasons on her end, but it's also because she's worried about my safety. She never Googles my name anymore. Once upon a time, she would take pride in Googling my name because, my accolades as a teacher in this poor, impoverished, majority Black community where I was raised, in which we all want best for our people. Now she's afraid to, because she doesn't know what she's going to see about me, because I'm sure there are negative things out there about me. It doesn't bother me. My mother, because I'm her child, her baby boy. I'm not the youngest, but I'm the youngest of the boys. She just can't take it. And it takes, in my job, I'm not going to comment too much on that, but let me just put it like this. I'm not working with under reparationists. And Black South Carolinians, I will shout them out. The majority of Black South Carolinians I've met are like, Gullah Geechee people. We're fine. People say we're warrior people, and we are. If anybody doesn't know the Gullah War, or sometimes called the Seminole Wars, which was really us, or sometimes called the Yamasee Wars, us again, look it up. We fought this country. We fought the British military, then the American military for over a century. Like, they could not control us. The largest slave revolts were here in the Gullah Geechee territory. The only other state that kind of can challenge us in that is Louisiana. Our other Creoles, the Louisiana Creoles and the Sea Island Creoles. So we are known for being people who just don't act. You really got to kill us. Like, seriously. I'm saying that for me. Like, Gullah Geechee people, in order for us to back down, you have to kill us, because we just we not going to back down. And when I talk to Black South Carolinians, you can hear that Gullah Geechee spirit come out. No one ever denies reparations. What they do tell me, though, is they just don't think people are going to vote for it. They feel kind of what people felt with Biden and some of the other candidates. They feel that Biden was the safe choice. And I don't know how in Georgia, but I think the same thing in South Carolina. I don't think anybody was excited about that guy besides the older Black population. But even the people who did vote for him, they was like, it's not that I like the guy. I just don't feel like a Marianne Williamson or Tom Steyer or Cory Booker could really win. And I don't want to waste my vote. I get that from our people. They was like, look, man, I love you. I love the hell out of you for what you're standing for. I love you putting yourself out there. We know it's hard. But some of them just tell me, I just don't. Some have told me for my own safety, they don't think that they will vote for me. Kind of like what happened with Obama at first. Like, they feel like if I go further, I may get killed. I tell them, if you don't vote for reparations and we don't get it, that's going to put us in danger. But some of them say, I just don't know if it's ever going to happen. So that's the biggest battle I have faced with talking to our people, trying to get our people to believe in this country, in which we have no reason to believe in this country. We have absolutely zero. So I get it, but that's the challenge.
Yeah. But we got to at least believe in ourselves, right? If
right.
Nothing else, if we can't believe in this country, I believe in us. I believe in us as a people, and reparations is the only policy, and I say this all the time, that will fundamentally change the state and fate of Black America. It's the only policy. It is the only policy that can can turn this whole economy around. It's the only policy right now that could solve many of this country's problems, and it's being ignored.
Right. You know what's funny though? Because we're loud people, at my school, the kids that say they're afraid of me, it's usually because my voice is so loud and it's usually white kids, to be honest with you. It's usually white kids because, culturally, even though white people here in, South Carolina, Georgia can get loud too, they're just not kind of loud, not like us Gullah Geechee people. So we have a loud voice. I hate when people give the USA Today credit or the New York Times credit for putting an article about reparations. They ain't doing us no favors. They're doing that because we made it the hot topic. I was introduced by something by Chris from Charleston, shouting you out. He shared with me something called the Freedmen Petitions. I ain't never heard of this. It was Black South Carolinians from different parts, Orangeburg, Edisonville Island, when that racist, anti-Black piece of garbage who's in hell right now, Andrew Johnson, gave the land back to the former human trafficking, enslaving piece of garbage, traitorous scum. Our people got together and wrote letters to him saying how angry they were, how wrong it was, and how it was going to be bad off for this nation. But what I'm saying is we have always been the spearhead of what is right for this country. I hate this terminology, progressives. Ain't no one progressive besides freed men. We've always been the true progressives. When this country was still trying to decide whether it was humane to enslave people and via chattel slavery, not via the payoff of debt like in other societies, but chattel slavery, we already knew it was wrong. When this country was still trying to say whether the Constitution should be followed, that any other time they wanted to finish, except when we say, hey, you're not following it, we already knew the Constitution should be followed. We've always been the true progressives. So you make a good point. I tell people, I'm not asking you to believe in this government. I'm telling you to believe in me. The same way when Harriet Tubman, because I love her to death, came to the plantations and she said, hey, the chariot then swung low and Harriet was in town. And people said, I'm going with Harriet. They weren't believing in America to do what's right. They believed that this little 5.2 woman who had fainting spells, they believed in her to take them to freedom. And they also knew that if she didn't have them, then she wouldn't be Harriet Tubman. If she didn't have any initiative of rescue, she wouldn't be the Black Moses that we call her. So I'm telling people, don't believe in the government. Believe in me, but believe in us.
You better preach, Marcel. You better preach. And I could just hear that song when you said swing low, sweet chariot.
Right.
I could just hear that song because we are, growing up in the Low Country in the
that's
church.
Right.
That's how that them old hymns.
People don't realize that Harriet Tubman was mainly active in 2 states. Her birth state of Maryland, other state, South Carolina, which is why, in Walterboro, you have the Harriet Tubman Bridge, because that's where she, being the first woman to ever lead any type of battalion squad of a U.S. military, the first woman in American history, she led them right there to the Combahee River, which it's pronounced Combahee. It looks like it's pronounced Cumbia, but it's pronounced Combahee. She led them there to a Confederate stronghold and freed thousands of slaves. And then she went to Beaufort and did a lot of work. So Harriet Tubman, y'all, Maryland, we ain't trying to take Harriet from you. In New York, we know she put her little house up there when she got the freedom, but she belongs to South Carolina. Okay, she belongs to the Low Country. The Gullah Geechee people, Harriet Tubman is like an idol for us. Like really, we love her to death.
Swing low, sweet chariot. Yes. So why reparations? You and I both know, and most of my audience, but this is going to go far. I'm real clear that it is. But let's talk about why reparations. Let's talk about this racial wealth gap that exists. Let's talk about, we're what 13, 14% of this population, but we have this 2.6% of this nation's wealth. Let's talk about why reparations.
You know what? I always use this illustration here, and I'm learning. And so, this is a tip I think you may have given me. I know talking points has a negative connotation, but I realize what people say. It's almost like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you've made a point in a good way, there's nothing wrong with using that same illustration to keep making that point. It builds consistency. I think you used to tell me something like that, but I like to talk so much from my mouth. Now I'm realizing, hey, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So I always say to people, we are here in the Low Country. the Savannah River bomb plant. Our area is such a rich damn area for freedmen history and all the injustice we've been through. The Savannah River bomb plant. You know, they got rid of Ellington, South Carolina, and I forgot the towns in Georgia they got rid of, and they made the Savannah River bomb plant, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we know about all the accusations in Aiken, South Carolina, and Augusta, Georgia, about how it's poisoned the people with cancer rates. And I say to people, so imagine a company with a people in a community is forced to build this company, right? Where we use not just our muscle, we use our intellect to build this company. And yet it only benefits a certain group of people who didn't build it. Okay, that's bad enough. But then imagine, because we work on this chemical plant, this company, we're poisoned by it. And we have children, and they're born with defects by it. They're poisoned by it. And they have children, they're poisoned by it. It ain't because they did anything wrong. It ain't because anything's wrong with them. It's because of the wrong that was done to them. And they inherit that same defect, that same hereditary illness. And finally, they say, we've been telling y'all for the longest, it was wrong what you did to us. But now their children say, hey, this hereditary defect that y'all inflicted upon us, enough. You have gotten more and more powerful. You've grown to be the richest company in the world. And yet we are the poorest, but we built y'all. Y'all owe us. We're not going after the employees of that country, that company today. We're going after the institution, that company that still exists, because they inflicted this hereditary illness on us that we've inherited. That's why reparations, because that company, the board members, that family, they inherited the wealth and the power that company brought down. But the people who built it, we inherited the illness and the defect that was imposed upon us. In the same way, white Americans inherited, on average, far, far more wealth, as the data shows, and land, and access to assets. Black Americans inherited the poverty and the trauma that continues to be inflicted upon us. So the same way that company owes those people who built it and they poisoned, and they now have defects of no fault of their own, this country's government, not the people, but the government, the federal government who represents the company, owes us for what they've inflicted upon us, and we continue to inherit because they have not repaired the damage they done. But let me tell you one goddamn thing. They're going to.
And this is why we run.
Exactly.
This is why we run. I'm excited about where we are in this moment in history. You know, I know your family's concerned, and my family's concerned about me as well. I've had some incidents. So, but you know what? We are, like you said earlier, we are the most resilient people. Like, we survived the Middle Passage. Like, we survived. And I never really understood where this, because I'm relatively low key. I come from the beauty and barber industry where, it was, everything was beautiful. It was love. But politics is a different beast. And
it's nasty.
It's a nasty, ugly, dirty game that you have to play. But you know what, Marcel? We were built for this.
That's right. And that's sad, but we got that resilience, right?
Born for this, right? We were born, whatever it is in the water, whatever's in the water down there, we were born for this, don't you think?
I know we were. Because what other group, a lot of other groups, when we bring about reparations claim, they bring, what about us? Okay, what about you? I gotta feed my children in my household. Okay, my mother is the sweetest, kindest woman you ever want to meet, and I'm not just saying that because she's my mother. She really is. I mean, my father said I was an asshole. Oh, my father said that I was
okay. I say bad words too.
I was a jerk, and he was like, "Only reason your mother put up with all the things I did because she's like a uniquely, specially nice, kind person." Who always tells me, okay, Gregg, because I'm Marcel to y'all, but Gregg to her, she was like, you don't want to you don't generalize people. Just because you see a white person, and no, my mother's not a Kuno, not at all. No, trust me, she's been getting more on gold than me lately. It's scaring me. I'm like, I gotta get out of here. I'm having a bad influence on her. But my mother be like, don't generalize people. Just because a white person, you may see them with a pickup truck and a baseball cap and hunter camouflage, doesn't mean you can assume they're not for reparations or racial black justice. Like, she always wants me to see the good in people, right? But my mother, when I was a kid one time, I asked my mother to give me some money, and I bought this kid a shirt, and my mother was pissed. Not because this kid who had needs, I bought him a shirt, but because she said, we're struggling. And my mother has helped a lot of people, like my family has. She was like, well, we got to take care of ourselves first, or we ain't gonna be no good to anyone else. She was like, it's like on an airplane. When that bag comes down, you got to make sure you have an oxygen supply before you try to help other people with their masks. That's what they tell you on the airplane, right? My mother's like, I got to take care of y'all first and foremost. And I don't have the money right now for you to be buying clothes for someone else when I'm struggling to keep y'all well clothed. Same thing with our reparations claim. We got to take care of us first. But even more with us as freemen, ain't no other group ever came to our defense the way we've done for them. So when I say that we are built for this, I want to say ain't no other group went through what we're going through and still going through. I'm talking about the Middle Passage, which is on record as the most brutal, the largest forced migration, human trafficking incident in recorded human history. The slavery in the Americas. You know this, Tamara. South Carolina wears the crown for having the most brutal form of slavery, not just in the USA, y'all. It was even more brutal than the form of slavery in the Caribbean and in Latin America. I mean, you can look it up. There's a reason why South Carolina and then Georgia, when it came into existence, had the highest population of slaves, and why the Gullah Geechee people were a mix of Africans from different civilizations, because the death rate was so high among the Gullah Geechee people, because these rice plantations, these swamps were pure hell. While Louisiana and Mississippi eventually it too had a high death rate. No one's been through what we've been through and still continue to go through a country whose government is bent on genocidal violence against you. And not only do we rise even when we're outnumbered and outgunned. I read about the Tulsa massacre. Even when our people were getting bombs dropped on them, our people are still like, what? If we're going to die, we're going to die. But you ain't going to be just run up on me any kind of way. That's the energy we have. We don't just deserve reparations. We are big and bold enough to say, hey, you owe it to us, but we ain't gonna wait for you to give it to us. We gonna come and take it if you don't give it. It's gonna be given. We're gonna get it by hook or by crook. You don't got no other people doing that right now. We do that, freedmen.
Mic drop.
Exactly. We doing that. We the ones that do that.
And this is why we run. I'm excited. Washington, they better get ready.
That's right.
They better get ready to have reparationists in those halls of Congress. It's going to be a whole nother level of energy. And I'm coming to play. You're like, I'm coming to play politics. Y'all want to play? I'm going to play. I don't get mad when I see Manchin and Sinema wielding their power. I don't get mad. Either. I don't get mad because you got one vote. I got one vote. You give me something, I'll give you something.
You know what's funny? I think Manchin and Sinema should be making something very clear to our people. Now, I don't want to pivot to another topic, but you know, I have been promoting what I call, y'all, the reverse migration strategy. Over 60% of the Black American population already lives in the South, right? And all trending in demography shows Black Americans are continuing to move south. I believe that there are, I don't know, I never count them, but I'm gonna count it now. So Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, of course, Maryland are the 6 states right now where the Black American population is 30% or higher. And y'all, that's with the census undercounting us. They undercounted us in 2010 by 4 million people. Now they're saying in 2020, it may be 3 times as many. So our numbers in these states are already 30%, okay? Just imagine if Manchin and Sinema can literally say, I ain't doing nothing, and they got people reach out to them like, what do we have to do to get y'all vote? Imagine if just Georgia, which is like 36% Black, and Mississippi, which is like 43% Black, imagine just some hundreds of thousands of Black Americans go to those 2 states. We get 4 on-code reparationist senators. Imagine the power we'll wield. That's not even considering the House. So Tamara's running for the Senate. If y'all who don't know, the Senate is designed to have more power than the House. The Senate was designed so that the larger states wouldn't just be able to control everything. With California and New York and saying, wait, we got more than y'all, we can do what we want to do. The Senate's controlled to say every state gets 2, and now it's equal playing ground. So the Senate has more power. I'm never going to discount the power the House has, but we definitely got to get our people in the Senate too. So that's something to think about. If Manchin from West Virginia, I think one of the smallest states in the U.S., and Sinema from Arizona, will that much power. Imagine what we can do, y'all, if we get just 4 on-code reparationists, or even we take Georgia, because Georgia's on its way to getting 40% back. It may be there already. 2 senators on code, not Warnock and Ossoff. No, we don't want that. 2 on code senators, Marcel and Tamara, Senate for Georgia.
There it is.
All right. Yeah, all right. Get South Carolina. I love you. Let me go see what's going on with Georgia. Imagine what we can do. Just think about that, y'all. I ain't mad at them either. They're showing us what we can do on a larger level if we get to those 6 states and get the majority status local, gubernatorial, and also congressional.
We could take over.
That's right. Look at what we do already. Look at all the stuff we go through as Black Americans. We have only $23,000 in wealth. That was before COVID, compared to white Americans who have like close to $200,000 in wealth. Okay, we have lost 14 million acres of our 15 million acres that we own at the end of 1969. We're down to 1 million, barely holding on to it. We have the shortest lives. We go through state-sanctioned violence via police brutality. We have the worst, most underfunded schools, highest rates of housing foreclosures, auto repossession, homelessness, and we are still a force to be reckoned with. We still have the world copying our pop culture. We still, when people see us getting on cold, just even 2% of our population, they start going, oh, y'all, they waking up. We still a force to be reckoned with. Imagine what'll happen, y'all, once we take over just one state. And I know you got some white people out there right now, try these far-right white people thinking, oh, God, you see, y'all, they're launching a coup. I'm not talking about take over like what up in the Capitol, gubernatorial buildings like the far right people do. I'm talking about taking over the right way. You see, as Black Americans, we have always known how to get things done, but get it done the wise way. We can go street if we need to, but we can also go to the halls of Congress. See, that's the thing. Any setting you want to put us in, we gonna win. Imagine we just get Georgia, what we can do. I want y'all to think about that, y'all. Reverse migration strategy. It's not replacement for reparations, but there's another strategy that goes along with it. And that's something that I'm trying to help legislate via my plan, which is land grants. But y'all, even before I get to the land grants, reforming heirs property. For those who don't know, that's when your property doesn't belong to anyone. You just get a share in it. If you don't get a will, the person dies, and you are their descendant, you just get a share of it, but no one can own it. No one can get money from it. Big issue in Georgia, big issue in South Carolina. Imagine if we got that equity. We can have land, we can have wealth, we can get our Black communities in those same states I mentioned.
We just need no more scared politicians.
We can't. No more. Right. You know what? I don't respect any anti-Black bigot. I don't. But Congress is filled with them. What's the guy named Ron Johnson, who said if the people on January 6th were Black Lives Matter people, he might as well have just took the lives and matter off, just said Black people. That's what he really wanted to say, you coward. He said if they were Black Lives Matter people, he would have been afraid. He was pretty much saying because they're white people, I wasn't afraid. But he said there was Black Lives Matter people, I probably would have felt a lot differently. So Congress is filled with a lot of anti-Black bigots, y'all. But you know what, though? I don't respect it at all. But you see, they're not afraid to be on code with being anti-Black. So why do we get these Black politicians? Maybe you could speak to some of that. Why do we get these Black politicians who, even when they see us in the street getting their life suffocated out of us with someone's knee on the back of our necks, they still can't bring themselves to say, I'm going full force Black agenda, reparations, okay, direct monetary payments. I'm going to give Black people's freedmen special class protection. You can't take their land. If you are a police officer and you break the law and you commit brutality against them, they can have your salary, your pension, your property. You can't confiscate their guns from them. If they have committed a crime, they're exempt from certain laws. Why can't they be as pro-black as they see these other people are anti-black? Why do we get these type of cowards? That's what I'm calling them. Why?
Because they can be bought.
That must be it right there.
They can be bought. And they sell us out every single time.
That's literal, by the way, y'all. James Clyburn's taking, I said I was going to say his name again. Oh, well. He's taking over $1 million from the pharmaceutical industry, while South Carolina is one of the, I think, number 3 of the unhealthiest states in which to live. And you can imagine Black South Carolinians have the highest levels of comorbidities, whether it be hypertension, heart disease, food deserts, lead in water, and yet he will not even do the bare minimum. But Tamara, they can be bought, but I'm still confused because, like I mentioned, the incumbent for my district, he wrote a reparations bill for Catawba Native Americans. That was the first thing he did in 1993, for them to have special rights, protections, and privileges. And the man said, because of the historical injustices they've gone through, and it's only 3,000 of them now. It was probably just hundreds of them then. But South Carolina has always been one of the blackest states in the United States of America. It was the blackest for the longest. There are almost 2 million Black South Carolinians. He won't do anything for the historical injustices we've been through, in which the Catawba Native Americans participated because they enslaved us and used to hunt us down. How can you sell us out, your own people of your own lineage, but then you can go and do protective policy for Catawba Native Americans, for illegal immigrants? And I just had this happen in my school, y'all. A child whose parents I know is here illegally, he just recently said to one of my freedmen students, all Black people do is eat fried chicken all day, and the white people are your slaves. I guess he said, you knew I checked the hell out of them, right? Because they know, first of all, none of my students want Mr. Dixon to get on their tail. They already know. When Mr. Dixon coming, they be, oh, shit, y'all good? And when I found out, I got him and read him. But that's the type of disrespect we're getting from people who are in this country illegally. And yet, that my incumbent is supporting the New Deal for New Americans that would put agencies throughout this country that will make sure that illegal immigrants get protection and get resources. Where is the return of the Freedmen's Bureau that Congress did in the 1800s when anti-blackness was just all out in your face? Where's him pushing for that to come back so we get protection and we can get the land that they owed us and the reparations they owed us? It is disgusting, and Tamara, it's unforgivable.
Mm-hmm. And this is why we run. When is your election? Give us some details. We're almost at the top of the hour.
It's June 14th, y'all, and South Carolina does not do early voting. Go figure. So June 14th.
No early voting? No.
South Carolina does not do early voting, y'all.
So you only vote, wait. So you only vote on election day?
For the primary, at least. Yep. There's no early voting for the primary. General election, I'm one of those people. I don't know something, I'll tell you, I'll look into it. But for the primary, I even called them yesterday. Now, full disclaimer, I don't want any of them getting mad at me because, they're always kind to me. But the South Carolina Election Commission has at times given me wrong information. And I'm not trying to insult them because the law has changed. Shamara, you know this. I know this. The FEC, the Federal Election Commission, they are sending out updates to policies like this, y'all. And if we don't follow one letter, fine, off the ballot. So they have to keep up with it too. But South Carolina does not do early voting. So June 14th is my primary. And even if you're not in South Carolina, you can show up for me via donations. And if you're in South Carolina, even if you're not in my district, you can tell all the other South Carolinians you know about me, because we are a small state, but we're densely concentrated. Eventually, a lot of people you speak with are going to be in my district. So June 14th, you're in May, if I'm not mistaken. So you are literally right around the corner.
Yeah, we're both right around the corner. We're just months away from Black America really making a decision. I mean, I ask them all the time, do you really want reparations? Do you really want reparations? Do you really want reparations? This time when you go to the polls, you're not going to the polls to vote for me, Tamara Shealey. You're not voting for Marcel. You are voting for your children. You're voting for your children's children and your children's children's children. You're voting for generations to come. So this is the most, I believe, this is our civil rights movement. This is the most historical. Yes, it is. It is. I'm going to give you the final word, brother.
So y'all, like Tamara said, this is literally do or die. No, I'm not one of those, the black population is going to extinct people with undercounting. I'm not talking about like our lives. Our lives are in danger, always have been. Like I told my mother, my life will be more in danger if I wasn't running for reparations. That's when you surely really be worried. This is do or die for us, y'all, socially and politically. If we don't get the reparations candidacy in, and you got people really going to speak up for us, you could believe they're going to give illegal immigrants citizenship. You already saw the hell we've gone through as second-class citizens. Do y'all really want to live in an America where we are going to be third-class citizens? If we're having this hard of a time as second-class citizens, what's going to happen when we're third? Listen. One person really can make a difference. When these congressional representatives, quote unquote, go behind these closed doors and they come with policies, there is no one speaking up for freedmen, y'all. Black Americans who are descendants of American slaves. No one. Tamara, just by herself, will be a earth-shattering difference. And when you're seeing Gregg Marcel Dixon up there in the House and she's in the Senate, imagine just one very loud behind voices who are going to be speaking up for freedom. Y'all, this is do or die. If you can't, I don't really need phone calls right now because I have a strategy worked out that's working, but donations, your support, you telling other people about me. My number is 843-940-8983. You text me, call, I'm not going to answer because I'm sorry, y'all. I'm just not going to answer. I'm a millennial. But text me, I'll put you to work. This is do or die. It really is. And I know people say we deserve the best. As far as I'm concerned, Tamara is the best. Okay? The best is the person who steps up to do what the moment calls for. Not the person sitting back there talking about what you ain't doing right and what you should be doing. The person who stands up and say, hell, this is urgent. This has to get done. And I'm going to get it done. And we have to do it. But we can't do it alone. We need y'all.
We are the best. We are your reparationists, and we are running for Congress. Marcel, I appreciate you joining me on the broadcast. This was fire, as I knew it would be.
Thank you.
Look,
we wore red.
And we wore red.
Right, we wore red, so we wore the right color. I was gonna do our indigo. I was gonna do our, Hank blue, but I said let me wear red because I was feeling really amped up from last night. So, thank you for having me. I'm surprised. I've never been on your broadcast before, so I'm honored. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. In the comments, y'all you're not voting for Tamara Shealey Johnson or Gregg Marcel Dixon. You're voting for reparations, our policies. We are just a vehicle. You don't say, I'm not going to this real big event to which I want to go because I don't like my car. Your car is just a vehicle to get you there. We're just vehicles to get you there, but we have to get there. And with that, Tamara, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, y'all. I'll be back next week, same time, same channel, right here. Thank you, Greg. Stay with me for a few minutes. Stay with me.
When we come to Washington in this campaign, we're coming to get our check. Young prodigies. Grow. Free. Reparations, Martin said we coming for our check. Reparations, say it loud. 1, 2, mic check. Cream. Cash rules everything around me. Dream. My legacy, you can't stop me. Coming for our 40 acres, ain't y'all 40 in our paper.
Kicking the door. Coming for our 40 acres and more. Our 6.4 trillion. Miss that no, we fought the Civil War.
We came from the poor. Start from the bottom, we still on the floor. We pray to the Lord. Amen. Picking the cotton, our fingers are sore.
Straight out the underground, escaping from slavery. The only cemetery that we had were the trees. Watching our bodies while they grew in the breeze. Things of highway. Came from slavery. Where's on the mirror once you sit on me? Put her head on the door, put the werewolf scheme. Stick to the north side to get free.
Reparations, Martin said we coming for our check. Reparations, say it loud. 1, 2, mic check. Cream, cash rules everything around me. Dream, my legacy, you can't stop me. Coming for our 40 acres, ain't y'all 40 and I
Look,
paper.
we taking them back. Putting Pettis Bridge on the map. Police came with the strap. That Sunday was bloody, no cap.
Stop capping.
Speaking of cap,
Kaepernick taking knees at the flag. Where my justice at? We built this nation, better give me them racks. All fat, just a match and a little bit of gasoline. 4 girls got bombed back in 63.
400 years, yeah, we still ain't free. I rise, we rise, take a knee.
Kaepernick.
Reparations, Martin said we coming for our check. Reparations, say it loud. 1, 2, mic check. Cream, cash rules everything around me. Dream, my legacy, you can't stop me.
Coming for our 40 acres, ain't y'all 40 and I paper. We stuck in the trap with no shoes, trying to pull up bootstraps. Increasing the gap. Wealth got bigger, so we had to adapt. Discriminated cause we black. I know it worth more than I know it's a fact. They tryna feel scraps. Drag me on board so we can't come back.
30 years ago on April 19, Yusef and Triremi chemical read.
If it happened to them, think it happened to me. It's criminals already 5 to a free.
Prodigy.
Reparations, Martin